You just wanted to see if you could do it. Your dad was 12 feet away in his uniform drinking coffee when your first listing went live. Level 1. The experiment. You're 19. You're 2 months into your first year of community college, studying computer science because systems make sense to you in a way that most other things don't. You live at home in Suburban Ohio. Your dad works shifts. You have a bedroom, a laptop, and more free time than you know what to do with. Summer. Outdoor festival 2 hours from home. You buy more than you need because the price feels right and you don't think past tonight. The festival ends. You drive home with Lenny. You have more left than you used. You put it in a drawer and go to bed and don't think about it for a week. Then a friend of a friend texts asking if you can get anything. You say maybe. Then you open a browser tab and start reading about how darknet markets work. Not to sell anything, just to understand how the system is built. You expected it to be complicated and hard to follow. It isn't. The architecture is clean. The feedback system works almost exactly like eBay. Buyers leave reviews, sellers build reputation. The whole thing runs on trust between strangers who will never meet. The escrow logic is simple and well-designed. Disputes go to a moderator. Shipping is the seller's problem. An hour passes and you're still reading. That's the moment, not the text, not the drawer full of leftovers. The moment is when you realize the system is more elegant than you expected and you want to know if you can use it. You photograph what you have. You write a product description, honest, clear, specific. You price it fairly, not to make money, to see if it sells. You create a vendor account with a name that means nothing, a random word, a number, something with no connection to anything real. You post the listing. Then you close the laptop and go make dinner. Your dad comes home at 6:15 in his uniform, same as every night. He asks what you're working on. You say a coding project. He nods. He says you're smarter than he ever was at your age. He pours a coffee and goes to watch the news in the next room. The door stays open. Your first listing is live. He's 12 feet away drinking coffee and reading nothing into the fact that you're at your desk later than usual. That's the whole scene. Nothing happens. Nothing comes close to happening. He finishes his coffee, says goodnight, and goes to bed. 3 days later, a message comes in. 5-star review. Fast shipping, great product, would order again. You made $340 on something that cost you $80 at a festival. The margin isn't the point. The point is it worked exactly the way you thought it would. You sit with that for a few minutes. Then you reinvest. Not because you need the money. Because the experiment isn't finished. You source locally. A contact from the festival, someone Lenny knows, someone who knows someone. The supply chain is short and easy to manage. You list what you have. You ship it carefully, nothing flashy, nothing that draws attention, a return name that doesn't match anything real. The reviews come in. 4.6 stars across 40 listings. You check the feedback the same way you check a side project, not obsessively, just consistently, the way you'd monitor anything you built to see how it performs. You're still telling yourself this is temporary. You'll stop when it stops being interesting. The problem is it keeps being interesting. Every week there's a small optimization to make. Better packaging, a more precise product description, a slightly different shipping routine that reduces the pattern. You're not building a business. You're refining a system. That's what it feels like from the inside. A system that keeps producing results every time you make it a little better. Lenny knows roughly what you're doing. He hasn't asked for details, and you haven't offered them. He drove with you to the post office twice in the first week and waited in the car both times. He doesn't come inside. You've never sat down and explained it to him, and he's never asked you to. That gap between what he knows and what he hasn't asked about is something you've both agreed to leave alone without ever saying so. 40 reviews. 4.6 stars. 1 contact in the supply chain. 1 laptop in a bedroom with the door left open. Your dad on the other side of it thinking you're working on a coding project. The experiment is working. The product sells. The reviews hold. The system is exactly as elegant as it looked on the first night you read about it. The experiment is working and you haven't found a reason to stop yet. Level 2. The operation. The spare desk in your bedroom is a shipping station now. Vacuum sealer. Postal scale. Scent pouches. Bubble wrap. A dedicated laptop that has never been opened without a VPN running first. The change didn't happen all at once. It happened one purchase at a time, one piece of equipment added each week, until the desk stopped looking like a desk and started looking like something else. Lenny comes over one afternoon and sees it. He stands in the doorway for a moment taking it in. You explain the basics without going into the numbers. He doesn't ask questions. He asks if you need help. You say yes because the shipping volume is at the point where doing it alone takes the whole evening. And because it's Lenny. And because the question of whether you should say yes doesn't come up until much later. Lenny handles packaging 3 afternoons a week. $500 cash. No contract, no documentation, no receipts. He's good at it. Methodical, careful, doesn't talk while he works. You handle the listings, the orders, the messages, the shipping logistics. He handles the physical part. The division makes sense. Neither of you says the word out loud. The word just sits there unspoken between the vacuum sealer and the postal scale, and neither of you picks it up. Your father knocks on the bedroom door at 7 p.m. on a Wednesday. He's off duty. Dark gray jacket, dark jeans. He's been home for 20 minutes. Lenny freezes mid-package. You close the laptop. Your dad opens the door and asks if you want dinner. You say yes, you'll be down in 10 minutes. He nods and leaves. Neither of you breathes for 4 seconds. Then Lenny starts packaging again. That's the closest it ever comes to being caught at home. A knock. A closed laptop. 10 minutes to dinner. 4.8 stars across 200 reviews. You're shipping 5 to 8 packages a day, 3 different post offices on a rotating schedule, so no single location sees a pattern building. Different fake return names every week, random first names, random streets, nothing reused. The local supply is keeping up, but only barely. The demand has grown past what one person with a connection can provide reliably. You need more volume than the person you've been sourcing from can give you. That was manageable when you were shipping twice a week. It isn't manageable now. Your local contact is not a supplier. He's someone who knows someone, and that chain has a limit. He can't give you consistency. He can't give you reliable quality across every order. He can't scale with you when the volume doubles next month, which it will. You've been running this on a supply chain that was never built for what it became, and it's starting to show in the gaps. A week where the stock runs low, an order that ships late, a review that mentions the wait time. You start reading recommendations on encrypted forums. Vendor names come up repeatedly in the threads. You filter by review count, by feedback rating, by how long the account has been active. One name keeps appearing, Atlas. Consistent. Professional. Every review says the same things. Ships on time. Quality matches the listing. Communication is clear and brief. Hundreds of verified transactions across months of activity. The account is established in a way yours wasn't when you started. You read the Atlas profile 3 times. Then you send the first message. You keep it short. A quantity, a question about shipping time, nothing more than what you need to know. You don't know Atlas's real name. Atlas doesn't know yours. You've exchanged nothing but a username and an order inquiry. That's exactly how it's supposed to work at this level. Knowing less about each other means neither of you can give much up if something goes wrong somewhere else in the chain. You've read enough forum posts to know that. It makes sense as a principle. It feels clean. You're not 19 at a bedroom desk running an experiment anymore. You're running something with a staff member, a supply chain, a rotating shipping schedule, and 200 5-star reviews. The experiment produced a result. The result became a system. The system grew past the point where experiment is still the honest word for it. The word you don't say out loud is the word for what this actually is now. You don't say it. Lenny doesn't say it. The vacuum sealer runs. The scale reads the weight. The laptop logs the order. The word stays right where you left it. Level 3. The supplier. Atlas delivers on time. Every time. The round pill tablets arrive consistent with the listing. Same quality, same quantity, no surprises. The price is fair. The communication is brief and encrypted and never includes anything you didn't ask about. You place a second order, then a third. Atlas responds within hours, ships within a day, and the tracking shows delivery on schedule. By the 4th order, you've stopped double-checking the tracking. By the 6th, you've stopped thinking about the supplier at all the way you used to. Atlas just works. That's the best thing you can say about any part of a supply chain, and it's the only thing that matters. Neither of you knows the other's name. You've exchanged nothing except orders, payment confirmations, and one question about shipping times. The arrangement is built exactly the way the forums say to build it. You've done everything right. 6 weeks before you placed your first Atlas order, a postal inspector named Marcus opened a package at a regional facility in another state and found what he was looking for. The person behind the Atlas account was arrested that afternoon. Marcus's team took over the account the same day. Same username, same profile, same response time, same tone in the messages. Brief, professional, never asks unnecessary questions. The operation continued without any visible break. Every order placed to Atlas since then has gone to a law enforcement account. Every shipping address submitted with those orders has gone into a federal evidence file. You've submitted your address 11 times across 4 months. You don't know any of this. The chat looks exactly the same. The deliveries arrive on schedule. There is nothing from where you're sitting that suggests anything is different about the supplier you've been using for 4 months. The quality matches the listing. The payment clears the same day. The messages stay brief. You're running the biggest version of this yet. 11 active orders in the queue. For shipments pending. Customer messages coming in on the dedicated laptop while Lenny handles the packaging on the shipping desk. The money moves through crypto wallets with multiple hops to break the chain. You use Tor. You use PGP for every message. You've read every operational security guide on every forum you can find and applied what you learned. You've done everything the guides say to do. The one thing the guides don't cover is what happens when your supplier isn't your supplier anymore. Lenny says he wants out. He doesn't say it dramatically. He says it quietly, one evening after the packaging is done, while you're both still at the desk and the dedicated laptop is logging the last order of the night. He says it's gotten bigger than he thought it would. He says he's not comfortable with the scale anymore. You say 1 more month and you'll wind it down. He says okay. He said okay to 1 more month 3 times now. Neither of you points that out. You both know exactly what it means that he keeps saying okay. You just don't say that either. The conversation ends the same way it started, quietly, without the word either of you doesn't say. Marcus has 11 shipping addresses tied to Atlas orders across 4 months. He cross-references them with postal records. 3 of them cluster in the same zip code range with the same shipping frequency and the same package dimensions showing up in the system. He narrows to a primary address. Then he requests a mail cover. A mail cover doesn't require a warrant. It's not a search. It just means every piece of mail arriving at your address gets logged, sender, origin, dimensions, weight, before it's delivered. Nothing gets opened. Nothing gets seized. You'd never know it was happening. Marcus is patient. He's worked cases like this before. He knows exactly what the mail cover will show him, and he knows what he'll do with it when it does. He's not in a hurry. The address isn't going anywhere. The orders keep arriving. Every one of them is another data point in the file he's been building since the day his team took over the Atlas account. The next Atlas delivery is on its way to your address right now. It was dispatched this morning. The tracking shows it in transit. It will arrive tomorrow afternoon, the same as always. Marcus's team dispatched it. Marcus knows your address. He's had it for 4 months. The delivery tomorrow isn't the next step in your supply chain. It's the last step in his. Level 4. The knock. The delivery arrives Thursday morning. Marcus's team prepared it at a federal facility. They opened it, documented the contents, resealed it, and sent it out the same as any other Atlas order. 2 postal inspectors are parked in an unmarked vehicle across the street when the parcel arrives at your address. Lenny picks it up from the porch at 10:23 a.m. He brings it inside. He opens it. They knock 4 minutes later. Lenny gives up your name in the first 8 minutes of the first interview. Not because he's weak. Because he's 19 and terrified, and he was only supposed to do this for 1 month, and that was 8 months ago. He sat in that room, and the months stacked up behind him, and the only thing that made sense in that moment was to say everything he knew. He tells them everything he knows about the operation, the shipping desk, the rotating post offices, the Atlas orders, the dedicated laptop, the split between your role and his. He knows almost everything. He tells them almost everything. Your dad's shift ends at 11 a.m. on Thursdays. He pulls into the driveway at 11:18 in his uniform. Dark navy, badge on his chest. He sees the unmarked vehicle at the curb. He sees Marcus standing near the door. He knows what this is before he steps out of the car. He's a police officer. He knows exactly what an unmarked vehicle parked outside a residence means. He goes inside. He sees your face. He doesn't ask why. He asks how bad it is. You tell him. Not everything, but enough. He listens without changing his expression. He doesn't flinch. He doesn't look away. He asks one follow-up question, and then he steps outside to make a call. You watch him through the glass of the kitchen door, still in his uniform, one hand on the railing, talking quietly. You can't hear the conversation. You sit at the kitchen table and watch him talk. He comes back inside. He tells Marcus that you are 19 years old, that you were naive, that you were manipulated by a supplier you never identified or met, someone who used you as a distribution point without you understanding the full scope of what you were participating in. He uses his name when he says it. He uses his rank. 20 years of service as a police officer, and he is spending those 20 years in this kitchen right now for you. Marcus listens. Marcus already has everything he needs. 11 documented orders. Lenny's full statement. Your vendor account with 340 reviews in a federal evidence file. He doesn't need anything your father says. But he listens anyway, because your father is a police officer standing in his own kitchen making a case for his son, and that means something even when it doesn't change the charges. The market you sold on gets seized that same afternoon. Your vendor account, your reviews, your full order history, your customer messages, every shipping address. All of it is now in a case file alongside Marcus's 11 controlled order records and Lenny's statement and the contents of the controlled delivery that Lenny opened at 10:23 a.m. Your dad sits beside you at the kitchen table after Marcus leaves. Not once, from the driveway to the call to the moment Marcus walked out the door, has he asked why. Not in the driveway. Not when he came inside and saw your face. Not during the call. Not after. You think about the night he came home at 6:15 and asked what you were working on, and you said a coding project, and he said you were smarter than he was at 19. The door between you was open. He was in the next room drinking coffee while your first listing was live. He was proud. He didn't know what he was proud of. He's sitting beside you now, and he still hasn't asked why. That's the part that doesn't leave. Not the charges. Not the 340 reviews in the evidence file. Not the 8 months. Not Lenny giving up your name in 8 minutes. The part that stays is your father at the kitchen table, still in his uniform, having just spent 20 years of credibility on a phone call for you, and never once asking why you did it. The why didn't matter to him. That's the thing you couldn't have predicted and can't explain and won't stop thinking about. He's a police officer. He spent 20 years caring very much about why people do things. But not here. Not for you. Only the how bad. Only what he could do about it. Hey guys, hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, share it, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next level.